You can always find out more at Michelle's website, updated constantly, michellesagona.com. Is Michelle with us? Guys?
Good afternoon, Mike.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi.
Michelle, what are the investigators, what are authorities saying? Any leads right now in the search for Susan? We're talking 2 weeks out now.
There are leads, and investigators are still trying to verify Josh's alibi that states that he went out on the Pony Express trail. I mean, that trail is a couple hundred miles long, so they have not been able to find the exact camping spot where Josh claims that he may have been on the early morning hours of December 7th. And Josh does claim to investigators that he last saw his wife around 12:30 in the morning when she went to bed. Then he took his sons, ages 2 and 4, out camping and did not come back allegedly until 5 p.m. that afternoon, when his wife was missing and nowhere to be found. Since this point, investigators have named him a person of interest, as you mentioned, but all that means is that you can have multiple persons of interest in any particular case, and a person of interest can easily be ruled out, or they could graduate to becoming a suspect with the proper evidence in place.
Let's bring in Steve Rogers, Detective Lieutenant, Nutley, New Jersey Police Department. Steve, here we are following this again. And Josh Powell goes to the vigil. What do you make of that as an investigator?
Well, Mike, as we stated all along, as you're following this case, his behavior has been very bizarre. Looks like he's trying to, again, distract people away from the case. But I can tell you this, Mike, something very significant occurred today. And this is the fact that this woman came along and shared with the police that there may have been marital problems. Now, that's a pretty big piece of information that the police can now focus on, because that may establish a motive for a particular person of interest.
Steve, you mentioned that. Let's listen to her. Her name is Rachel Marini. She appeared on the Today Show, and she's talking about Josh Powell, how he acted in the marriage, saying he could be very controlling. Let's listen to that.
Josh was very controlling. He controlled everything in their marriage, from the money that Susan spent to what groceries she could buy, what she could eat. There was a lot of fighting and belittling on his part, and it just reduced her to a very unhappy and different person than she was when we first met her.
Okay, Steve, that's what you're talking about there, fighting, belittling, controlling. What do investigators do with that as you're trying to find Susan Powell?
Well, first of all, Mike, we hear quite often from people that he's very controlling. It appears that he's attempting to control this investigation by doing some of the bizarre things he's doing, by not cooperating. Again, very significant piece of information. The police, I'm sure, are now going to look into a little bit more about the marital situation and now establish a motive.
There you go. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We've got some calls lined up. Call in with your thoughts, your questions. 1-877-TEL-HLN is the phone number, and we will hear more from that friend who appeared on the Today Show talking about the marriage and whether or not Susan Powell would let her 2- and 4-year-old go on a midnight camping trip.